and welcome to the THP Wrestling Podcast. Today we are having a little chat about AEW. I'm a converted, but first I need to introduce my co-host. He's been my co-host for every THP Wrestling Podcast, Wrestling Coffee. So Kyle, how are you today? Loving the new sponsor.
Yeah, I'm good.
He's not happy about it, but we take what we can get. It's all money at the end of the day.
So you wanna show Trip?
Trip. Yeah, I am sponsored by Trip. Of course, it's a long-standing partnership that we've had since the early show. The little can that you can see here is not Trip, unfortunately, though. So shout out to Jimmy's Iced Coffee. The Trip of the coffee world.
I hate every time we record these.
It's because I have a press record and when we're mid-conversation and it's my favourite thing to do.
And I don't even know what we're talking about.
He always says he doesn't know, and he does know, and that's the annoying thing.
No, that was a segue into you telling everyone what we're talking about, brother.
It annoys me that you say you don't know because it makes me look unprepared.
You are unprepared. Now tell everyone what we're talking about. Come on, son.
No, because you've not told everyone what coffee you're drinking.
I'm drinking instant coffee. Black.
You are getting lazy with your descriptions of coffee for a show that's called Wrestling Coffee, and you're not using the Wrestling Coffee mug, by the way. Disgusting behaviour.
I am a man of peace, and I ain't gonna slay you. Yeah. Let's just move on.
2 minutes in, by the way.
2 minutes in, I'm already like, I am not gonna smite this man down.
Not on the internet. So we'll talk about AEW today. Now, if you're a listener, what's that? What are you laughing for? We're going to talk about AEW today.
Nice segue. It's not like you could have done it a minute and a half ago. Go on, we're talking about AEW today.
You just delayed it more, though, aren't you? Oh, let me just move this camera a little bit. There you do.
He's worried about not looking prepared, and he's moving camera mid podcast.
My camera's resting on the top of a Black Panther controller holder. Is how prepared I am for this. I'll send you a picture after the show. So we're talking about AEW. Now, if you're a listener of this podcast, God bless you, first of all. But secondly, you'll know that I am critical. Is probably the word to say. I am critical of AEW. I've always said that the booking is lazy, formulaic, and they have these big matches where it's like, oh, there's 100 spots, there's 20 near falls, and like it's not actually wrestling. It's just there's no substance to it. So I had that opinion for a long time. I watched AEW when it originally came out, and then I had that opinion for years. But recently, I thought, you know what? Let's stop being a hater. Let's give it another chance. Let's watch it. So I thought, I'll go back to the Revolution. I watched a YouTube video, first of all, that summarised 2025 in AEW, and I was like, okay, there's some stuff going on here. So I thought, first big pay-per-view of 2025, I think it was Revolution, 2026, and I was like, all right, I'll watch Revolution. I watched it, and I thought, okay, yeah, sure. There are some matches where it's just spot fest, loads of near falls, like, not a lot of substance to it. But it was very refreshing to watch wrestling just be wrestling for once. Because as much as I love WWE, I have an issue with the billion adverts that they have, WWE, the ridiculous amount of sponsorship, the celebrity guest appearances every 2 seconds, the 10-minute promo packages, mic'd time in the ring on Raw, and the 1-minute matches. I do have an issue with these things from a fundamental wrestling point of view. So to watch AEW and just see wrestling and good quality wrestling at that was very refreshing, which is what I thought mid-show. And then we got to the main event. How have you watched Revolution? You said you might. I don't know if you have.
I have not.
Disappointing.
Maybe, with how you sell it, I might watch it straight after this podcast.
Okay, so I don't even need to include who won in the main event. I can just talk about the main event without including that. So the main event was Hangman versus MJF, right? Now, I want to point out as well. there was a video package for every match. So someone that hadn't watched AEW, having like a full package of why these people are feuding before the match is really refreshing. Kind of like it was mid 2000s WWE. Because in WWE nowadays, they don't really do it. They might do for one match on the card, but for the most part, it's just you remember what happened, you watched Raw last week. And that kind of is frustrating. So I knew what was happening for every match. I enjoyed all the matches. You know, like they were great. Then the main event came around, and Jeff and Adam Page was absolute hangman was it was insane. And some people might go, oh, it was just a big gore fest, because all AW is. I actually thought it was all done really, really well though. Like, and it even got me to watch Swerve versus Hangman from a couple of years ago, because Kyle and Corey say that that match is great. They rave about it. So I watched it and thought, you know what, this is kind of great. Like, okay, sure, it is a big, massive ECW wannabe, like, I'm going to just do loads of horrible stuff to you. But it's done really well. It's not done cheap and tacky. It's done really well. So I was like, I like this product. So I've just gone down the rabbit hole recently of watching like old AEW matches from the last couple of years. I've gone down the rabbit hole of watching like Dynamite and Collision and all that sort of stuff. And I'm kind of invested. The only part about Revolution I hated was Daniel Bryan on commentary. I won't call him Brian Danielson, this stupid little dwarf. Sorry. This is going to be an issue of AEW with me. This is the big issue for me. That he's on it. But other than him, it was great. Kyle, you as someone that's been telling me to watch it, well, you haven't really been telling me to watch it, but like someone that's been saying that it is a good program. And the one thing I have watched from AEW the last couple of years is that I've watched every Tony Storm match because Carl said she was great. So I've watched all of her matches from the last couple of years. I would find out those one matches and then not watch anything else on AEW. So her match was great at Revolution. They were all great. But Kyle, talk to me about why I'm an idiot.
Wow, that is a segue and a half. You've gone full. You've gone back to the old style of TGP podcasting. But look, I've been having this argument with Corey for years now about why AEW is actually kind of fire. And like, I don't watch AEW all the time, but I also don't really watch WWE all the time. I'm, I'd say I'm reasonably invested in what's going on in AEW most of the time. And so Corey's beef is kind of similar to you, that it's just a spot fest. Like, there's no like ring psychology. It's athletes doing athlete things. And I always told him like, look, it ain't. It's just everyone's powered up, you know. Like the power level in terms of like an anime is just way higher in AEW. They can kick out of crazy like finishers way more often. Like things hurt less, so they have to do more in AEW, and that's just how that is. You know, if we start being pedantic and being like, well, actually, he should be down because this move looks crazy. It's like, brother, you're watching wrestling. Most fights, a punch can be something to end it, and a punch is like basically nothing. It's a wet pancake. So AEW is just powered up, and I think because of that style of wrestling, it really does have this weird niche now where every match feels like you're doing cat. And if you want some of that in your life with wrestling, AEW is the place to get it. Because each match is if you're watching an AEW match, yeah, and you don't go at least once during that match, like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like, then you're just not watching you're not watching an actual AEW match. I think every single time I watch an AEW match or an event, they do stuff that yeah, they do a lot of stuff that I've seen them do hundreds of times. But they have just these little extra little gems in there where they'll do a spot that I've never thought of before. And that's something really special. It's something we don't see in WWE a lot because most spots in WWE are tame. WWE style is just not geared towards these like really special spots that you've never seen before. WWE, they're pretty decent with stories sometimes, but when they're not good with stories, when it's a lull, I don't know, man. I feel like maybe you need to start watching AEW. Hence, you're enjoying AEW.
The thing is, I think you put it very well there. I am a like very much an AEW enjoyer at the minute because yeah, I mean, I did have issues with the way that it was booked and stuff, but I'm talking, quite a few years ago now, and obviously it's a new wrestling company. Things evolve and things change, and they genuinely seem to be getting better. And like, of course, there's always going to be this part of me, and it maybe it's nostalgia, right? There's always going to be this part of me to say that there's nothing that's WWE. So we used to watch New Japan a lot when Kenny was there, like when he was feuding with Okada and all that sort of stuff. So, but nothing is the level of WWE in terms of prestige and caliber and stuff. There'll never be another WrestleMania. There'll never be another like WWE champion and stuff. That always feels like the pinnacle of wrestling. But in my mind, I think there's more of a shift now because I'm probably disenchanted at this point with WWE, right? I don't like two-night manias. I think it takes away from the product. I don't like that WWE are doing stuff with Saudi for all of the moral reasons that encompasses that. They're not the only ones that do it, but I don't agree with anyone that does it. I don't like that they did Vegas 2 years in a row for Mania just for a cash grab, when New Orleans this year would have been better. And also, I don't think that doing the same place 2 years in a row is necessary. I don't like the celebrity stuff. I don't like all the sponsors and that. So if you want like what I would call a stripped back pure wrestling product, AEW is better for that reason. I think that's a fairly okay thing to say from a purely wrestling perspective. I think AEW is better. We all knew that like in ring performers they have probably more talent in AEW anyway than WWE for like pure just like I'm gonna have a 5-star match, but the glazing sort of does stop there with AEW because as much as they do have amazing talent and the matches are really enjoyable, I'm still not seeing that sort of coherent consistency on weekly television. So I still think the writing is suspect. I still think that the promo work is good from some people, is how I would say it, but a little bit disjointed. And also, I still can't get over the Dave Meltzer stuff. Like giving everything a five. That's not AW's fault, but giving like everything like a 5.5-star match and stuff for matches that are like enjoyable, but just like like the Young Bucks and FTR from Revolution, right? Really, really, really good match. Like really enjoyed it. It was just a Young Bucks match, obviously, because their matches are fairly similar, but it had different elements of stuff that I've not seen them do before. So I thought it was really, really good. I think Dave Meltzer gave it like a 6-star. I'm like, it was a really good match, but like, what are we doing? And that's when I think that's why AEW gets memed so much is because like they have outside influencers telling you how amazing they are at everything, and it's like they're good at so many things. They have the best wrestlers in the world because they do. Like they've got like Kenny Omega, they've got like MJF, Hangman, Swerve. They've got the best talent in the world, but there just still feels like there's something a little bit missing with them. Do you know what I mean?
I listened to a really funny Dave Meltzer interview the other day where he was talking about Sean Taker and why it was only a 4.75, and he was like, "Oh, it's because it was great, and it wasn't to do with the camera botch. Uh, it was just like I expected it. Like I kind of saw what they were gonna do, and I kind of nothing surprised me, and I just thought like, Doug, every year AEW do, and they're all great matches, yeah, but there's no way Dave Meltzer's watching this much AEW and getting surprised at the spots every match to a point where he gives 5 stars on such a regular basis. Like they're great matches, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, man. They
But no
aren't
one's
like
saying they're not good
game
matches. They're
changers.
objectively
Yeah,
great matches. Like if WWE puts some of these matches on, it would get talked about forever because WWE, everything WWE gets that I ever, like when you said to me like Punk Roman was great, and I was like, I thought it was a good match. I don't think it was I thought it was a good match. It was a solid match. But yeah, on an AEW card, it would have just been, it would have been one of the worst matches on the card for pure wrestling perspective. But it was more than that, and this is where WWE still has the edge, and I think will forever have the edge. The prestige, the lineage, and the everything that goes with it of a WrestleMania main event. That match, right? The build was. We talked about the build. It was quite so-so, right? You know, CM Punk calling out Pat McAfee, just completely irrelevant to his feud with Roman, and like Punk dropping the "I'm going to bury you next to your dad," which was just so unnecessary and felt weird, right? So the build was really weird, but like on the night, Punk's entrance was, like one of the best entrances probably I've seen in wrestling. It was great, purely for like the pure, maybe not even just nostalgia, but just showing you how far he's come, showing you how much this means to him. It's his first singles main event, right? Which is important. Obviously, the triple threat was great, but this is his first, what I say singles, but like one on one, his first one on one main event. And then Roman just comes out with Roman's aura and goes, "I beat," and just beats him. It doesn't matter how much this means to you. I'm going to beat you anyway. That psychology, that kind of like thing that you can't put a number on, is why WWE is still wildly successful and why WWE still feels like it means more than AEW. But from a pure wrestling perspective, this is probably a really larger question that I want to ask you. But what do you consider wrestling excellence? Is it just an amazing match and build, or is it things that AEW can't have, like WrestleMania main events, WWE titles, etc.?
Okay, I'm gonna hit you a bit. I'm gonna have a lot. I actually have a lot to say 'cause I've been thinking about this. But ironically, I've been thinking about this for the past few days. So, what you've just said, I get it. WWE, their style of wrestling is very story focused. It's about build, it's about payoff, it's about those moments. AEW, high work rate, just at a fundamental level of like athleticism, it cleans WWE 99% of the time. But WWE at this point are not providing this like storyline excellence. And that's the issue really. AEW, I don't think there'll ever be a point where they don't have insane work rate. It's just not gonna happen. But with WWE, it's so focused on like the quality is so reliant on the writing being good that we do have these moments, like these lulls where it's just kind of a dog shit product sometimes. And what's even worse is, like you said, something you liked about AEW was they had these promo packages before matches. They gave you the story. WWE, on the other hand, if we're gonna be real, Backlash was just Raw. It was just a fucking. It was a. You could have had that as a Raw, and no one would have thought anything because they aren't building these pay-per-views anymore as if they are special events that you'd spend £40 on. You know, like back in the day, you had to sell these shows like you cannot miss because little Jimmy is gonna have to tell his mum and dad that like, oh, can I spend 30, 40 quid on a fucking pay-per-view? So you had to build them like they had aura. Backlash didn't have no aura. It had minus aura in most cases. It's like a glorified like normal weekly show. AEW, their pay-per-views have aura and they build these matches with these promo packages for people to be like, oh, this match is important. Even if it's not got the same prestige as like WWE has, it's not got the same storied history, it's still important. And I say they can do it. And we know they can do it because back in Wrestle Kingdom, Adam, we didn't know jack shit about New Japan. And we saw all of that and thought, oh, this is the best wrestler in the world right now. It doesn't take anything. It just takes a phenomenal product to tell people, oh, this is what's important. Like this match is the most important match right now. And I don't know. WWE hasn't made me feel that way in at least a lot of months.
I'd argue that like my mood before Mania sums up how I feel about WWE a lot. It's like Punk Roman was great, but then some of the other matches were good quality matches and stuff like that. The IC tag title match, the IC title match was great, and like Dom and Finn was quite a good match. But then it's just like Aubrey and Brock was good, but then was Aubrey and Brock was just good because we like Brock. Well, they say we like Brock Lesnar's a crazy thing, but I like Brock Lesnar matches. I like the formulaic, know what to expectness of a Brock Lesnar match. We've always said that. I love Oba, and I think you do as well, right? So it's kind of like we're just excited for that reason. But that's sort of like I can't wait to see this match. I can't I literally feel excited to watch this match. It's been a really long time since I've had that in WWE. Like most Roman Reigns matches, I usually feel that way. To be honest, like if it's a Roman match, I'm excited for it. But Backlash, I just didn't really care. Like I was just like, yeah, whatever. We watched Backlash, and I couldn't tell you what happened for most of it. Other than the Danhausen stuff being just quite funny, I genuinely can't really sit here and be like, oh my god, there's this great stuff. And you are right, it was a Raw. And so maybe more of a broader question then, because I think this is a point to be made. Do you think that because they don't, because you mentioned that they used to spend like 30, 40 pounds on a pay-per-view, and that was kind of like, they had to sell it. It had to be great, because if it wasn't, you're going to have loads of unhappy people that have spent loads of money, and they're not going to buy the next pay-per-view because they're going to think, well, I'm not spending 30, 40 pounds again. Like, why would I? Do you think the fact that it's on Netflix now, and not only is it on Netflix, it's not even in more money. So if you've already got Netflix, you just get every pay-per-view, you get every Raw, you get every SmackDown. Do you think that that has diminished the quality of the product?
Honestly, you might be right. It genuinely might have given them the it's put the pressure off so that they don't need to make these or they don't need to pretend that each pay-per-view is going to be like a 10 out of 10. I don't think the quality of the matches have gone downhill at all. I think everyone's still working at the same level. Obviously, I think we're in like a bit of a sore spot, but I don't really think it's the end of the world. Like, I think it's just like a bad couple months, and we'll get back to it at some point. But yeah, with it being on Netflix, they really just aren't selling things. Like it's like they don't care if there's lots of views or not, because the fans that they make the most money off of, the most rabid, are like so. Look, WWE fans, it's basically a big clique. You know what I mean? Like it's almost cult like in you're either like a WWE fan and you're just blinded by everything. It's just WWE the best and I love them and I want to meet all the wrestlers and whatever. Or you AEW has the same issue where the fans are just very clicky. But I think maybe because you don't need all these pay-per-view buys, that yeah, it's just a case of we don't need to sell this like it's the craziest event ever. Like if you look back at like shows in history, Great American Bash. You remember the Punjabi prison match? The
Yeah.
quality of that match, so dog shit. The worst match I've ever seen. Genuinely.
Yeah.
But it was built up at the time as if like you cannot miss this. There was hype around it because what on earth is a Punjabi prison match? You know, they hype this up more than they hype up Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu. You know, they make
Yeah.
it seem like it's got aura. Yeah,
It
it
was
was
so bad.
disappointing.
Yeah, but
like
that's the thing. They just that was Vince McMahon's brain, though. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that was his brain, which was like it's basically me, right? So it's what I do with like so me and Carl would do like a wrestling prediction. So obviously it's not on camera or anything. Vince McMahon was literally just like, "Okay, I've got a great idea. We're gonna do a Punjabi prison match. What's that?
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what that is. You need to design it.
Michael
just
Cole
make
like
this
giving
thing."
the rules out and no one's listening to him.
It's literally like, oh, it's gonna be such good shit. And it's like, what? But what is it though? What is it, Vince?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just it's going to be so good. We're gonna have a big prison, and it's like, but what is it, Vince? It's a worse version of a steel cage. Okay,
Yeah. But
that
it's
was
like,
kind of what WWE
at
was, though.
least they were trying to sell something. It feels like now they're just like, it feels like right now they're just trying to make a good product and they're not worrying about sales, which should be good. But it's relying on the product being better. And if you're asking me whether the WWE product is better now than it was 2 years ago, I'm gonna tell you no. It's just
It's
simple
almost
as
like it
that.
peaked when Roman was having his 4 year title reign, and it's like if your product hinges on one person having a 4 year title reign, that's a problem. That is a
Mm.
problem. If one guy is everything that you are producing, that's a problem. And we all loved it at the time. But like looking back, yeah, if it's just Roman Reigns and that's all you've got, that's quite problematic.
Now you could tell it was gonna happen though, because the fear I felt knowing that at some point Roman Reigns is gonna lose that belt, and it's all gonna go back to how it was. It's all gonna go back to dog shit quality, like writing, and like Roman had it on lock, and he still does kind of have it on lock. I like what he's doing with Fatu. I just think it's not enough compared to like what AEW are doing, because AEW have the work rate, the storylines are great. Comparing that to one storyline for Roman, which doesn't even crack top 10 for Roman in the past 10 years. It's like,
But we're talking about one guy. It's a whole wrestling company, but we're talking about one guy because that's kind
oh,
of what WWE made us believe that it was just one
yeah.
guy almost.
Because they basically haven't let anyone else. Or, okay. I would argue no one else has farmed enough aura to make it seem like they're just as important. I think people have been given the opportunity. I think the closest person is Gunther. Everyone else, I don't think have got close. Cody's
I
had
don't think
years.
people even appreciate
I don't
Gunther
think
yet,
Cody
though.
has
That's
a
the problem.
like remotely go. Yeah, people don't really appreciate Gunther, but I think Gunther's still like a storyline in process. You know, he's working on it. But like, if we're gonna be real, Cody doesn't have aura. I'm not excited for a Cody Rhodes match ever.
I can't say he does, no. If I'm honest. I can't sit here and say like Cody Rhodes. I like Cody. The thing is with Cody as well, he's such a likable person, right, outside of wrestling, which kind of I think he is a likable person outside of wrestling. He's a good bloke.
You don't know
He
it
is a
though.
good bloke. I
You
mean, I
don't
even
know
tell
it.
stories and stuff. Like he's such a nice, like he tells such a great story, and like
Man, you just
that's enough.
Mark. This is
I
why I
just
hate
like
you.
Cody Rhodes.
Honestly,
I liked
Cody.
Cody in AEW as well. Like, well, what's the problem?
The problem is you don't know the lad. He could be a twat.
Okay, he might be, but no one says he is. Not a single person in the wrestling industry has ever said a bad word about him.
I think he's a twat.
Are we in? I didn't even think about that. Are we in the wrestling industry?
Of course we are.
I mean, we sort of are, right? We have a password. A password?
We
Sorry,
have a
I'm being
password. We do have a password. Thankfully, because I know all the people want to steal this pod.
That was crazy. I was doing something else, obviously. No, we all have a passion for wrestling, is what I meant to say. I said password. We all have a passion for wrestling, and we do make a wrestling podcast. So I suppose we are part of the wrestling industry. But you don't know
Yeah.
Cody in person, so you can't, so you also can't say that.
Well, you
You
may
don't know
know one,
Raheem.
but fuck
You don't know
Cody
him like
Rhodes.
that. Cody Rhodes turns heel, and I guarantee you like him. By the way,
Probably. But look, like, even if you compare Cody to other people that were at the top, like main event of the company 5, 10, 20 years ago, yeah, he just ain't got it like that. Triple H versus Big Show on a random event would have way more aura than any of Cody's matches in the past like year and a half.
So I actually do agree with you, but is that Cody's fault or is that WWE's fault?
Nah, come on, bro. He's had years. He's had years to do it.
I think
He
he's
ain't
well
him.
liked. I think he's well
Look, being
liked
liked and having
by.
aura are two different things.
No, so this is the thing. I'm actually agreeing with you. Cody is well liked, right? He's probably well liked by everybody backstage. He's probably like a really good dude that people just get on with and stuff. But that's fine. But do you want to compare him, right? The good comparison when we're talking about AEW at the minute, why not compare him to Hangman? I'm not saying he's not exactly AEW's version of Cody, but like he's the big baby face of the company. Are you telling me, in any respect, is Cody better at anything than Hangman? Anything? Ring, mic work, like the way he interacts with the crowd. Like, is Cody better at anything than Hangman Page?
He sells more merch to kids.
And that's what WWE care about. This is the big difference here, right? Danhausen, for example, WWE brought Danhausen in because they had a clear vision of being like, this guy is going to sell a lot of merch. That's basically all they did. They went, this guy's going to sell some merch. And he has. And he's really popular. And WWE have got more out of him than AEW did. The reason being for that is because AEW, whilst they definitely care about selling t-shirts, by the way, I'm not sitting here saying they don't. They're a business after all. But they're more bothered about like the wrestling aspect of it. And Danhausen's a really good wrestler, but I just don't think they really knew how to use him. Whereas WWE have just gone, this guy's going to be really funny. He's going to sell loads of merch, and we're going to just capitalize off him. It's a capitalist mindset of bringing someone like Danhausen in. That he's probably like the second most popular guy in WWE right now. It's just they work in different ways, right? They process the things in different ways. You're a bit of a face. I'm quite confused where your head's at with this.
I was going to argue with you, and the only thing I can think of is, yeah, you're probably right. WWE just don't, because I'm not really. I think WWE have always been like ultra capitalist. I think pretending that they haven't always been like money greedy little cunts is like it's crazy. They've always been like that. But yeah, that probably is the issue, isn't it? It's that whilst both companies are their businesses at the end of the day, and they only really care about profit. AEW understand that the quality of their product is extremely important for AEW's reputation, and they need to keep building their reputation as a superior product to other wrestling companies. Whilst WWE have got such a cult-like fan base, and they don't need to sell on pay-per-views anymore. They can just do it on Netflix. That the incentive to fix when things are going wrong is purely about whether Triple H has enough love for wrestling or not. It doesn't benefit them financially that much, having like good storylines or bad storylines. They're too stable, which is exactly what issue we had back in like the early 2010s with John Cena. Like the ship is too stable where good quality products only come from the passion of a few people in the company rather than a whole company wide this needs to be great.
I think that opens a bigger discussion though. That does WWE's product need to be good? Are they always going to
For their business
retain?
model, no, not at all.
That's the thing. Like, are they always going to retain their core fans that have always watched it since they were a kid? Are they always going to retain casual viewers for WrestleMania and stuff? Yeah, whether it's good or not, I think they will do that. So if they're going to do it anyway, and it doesn't really matter what they do, then why would they what is the reason to be better? What is the reason? Whereas AEW, if AEW's product's bad, they will just fall under because they don't have what WWE has. If AEW were producing a bad product every month, then they'd be nowhere. They would literally like fail to. They wouldn't exist anymore if they had a bad product, and that's kind of where the difference comes in. I think as someone that is a very old school fundamental wrestling fan, I can see myself at some point just watching far more AEW than I do WWE because at the minute I watch every single Raw, every single SmackDown, every single NXT, and every single pay per view without fail. It'll get to a point where like I watch every single Dynamite Collision and I watch every AEW pay per view, and time wise I won't be able to watch all the WWE stuff. So maybe I just watch pay per views with you and Corey and stuff like when we're on mic or with the other guys in TGP on mic, and that's my whole of the like. I watch the highlight YouTube video that WWE put out every week, and that's my Raw and SmackDown. Like that's probably where I'm going to get to, and that is disappointing. And AEW has always been behind a bit of a stranger paywall, hasn't it? Because it's been Thriller, and then I think you buy the pay. I think Finn was trying to explain this to me. You buy the pay per views on Prime or something like that, and I think they're like 20, 30 quid. Of course, there's websites you can watch this on. By the way, I'm not sitting here being that naive, but like for the most part of doing it properly, that's how you do it. AEW have now announced that they're basically doing WWE Network, so you can pay £15 a month or 90 quid a year to get all of their pay per views, all of the Dynamite Collisions, pretty much everything that AEW offer for 90 quid a year. Netflix is like what £6 a month if you're just watching it for wrestling, and that's with ads. So you are getting maybe a comparable position now that if you're just using it for wrestling, of course Netflix has more than wrestling, so that is always going to be like on WWE's side. But we may get to a point in the future where if AEW is just as easy to watch as WWE, if AEW's product is consistently better year on year, WWE are never going to lose the hardcores. They're never going to lose people that are just a casual wrestling fan, but they might lose like people that enjoy wrestling from a purist perspective, but don't want everything that WWE offer, because those people are just going to be watching AEW. They're going to be watching the superior wrestling product, which AEW is a superior wrestling product. There is no debate about that at this point. I don't think you could sit here and argue otherwise. Like they've got everything stripped back, like I said. Like it's like watching WWE from 20 years ago, but the wrestlers are better. That's how AEW feels right now. And where I'm putting my time at the minute it's still WWE, but I feel fairly converted that I might start watching AEW, and I genuinely might look at subscribing to AEW like subscription model because I want to watch the product, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. So, in the answer to our age-old question, am I the asshole? Yeah, we are. We're the problem. Because we're watching WWE when we think AEW is just kind of a better product.
I think going forward, there's a conversation to be had that we do talk about AEW more on the podcast, and that's kind of like the start of all of it. That's the thing. Like,
yeah, I think there is an argument to be made that we should be. Is it like even take out the podcast that we should be watching AEW with the same amount of respect that we have for WWE?
yeah, for sure.
Like
For
we
sure.
should be doing that. And the only reason we don't is just because we spent the last 20 years of our life watching WWE.
That feels like all it is as well. It doesn't feel like it's more than that anymore. It feels like it is just that we've always watched. Honestly, when Roman Reigns retires, I'm genuinely not sure you'll ever watch WWE again. I think that's the only thing that's keeping you going.
I get excited for, yeah.
Like when he retires, genuinely, what do we do? Like there's guys. This is the thing with WWE. There's guys I like. There's the girls I like. There are people in the company I like. But is that enough? Arguably, is that enough? That there's like some people that I like. Like at the moment, it doesn't feel enough because I have to get past too much to watch WWE at the minute. my big rant about like how WWE is a corporate machine now, and well, it always has been, but like WWE is a pure corporate machine and don't care about wrestling anymore. It might catch up to me. It genuinely might.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the WWE product, the quality of it, is so dictated on, are people going like above and beyond in terms of individual effort? And at the end of the day, there's not there's not that many of those left. And look, I'm sure everyone on that roster wants to put in maximum effort, but
It's not their fault.
it's got to be maximum effort from the wrestler and maximum performance from the wrestler, and you've got to look out with creative at the same time. And
Yeah.
that's looking out with creative at this point is a gamble you're probably going to lose. So yeah, like it's kind of cooked because, like I said at Mania, I feel like the wrestlers weren't performing that great. A lot of them. I think creative was just absolutely shitting a brick. And I think the few people that were like next level god tier wrestlers, yeah, they had a good match, but it's not enough to save the entire product.
I think that's kind of where we're at. Like we can like people like Obafemi and Trick and like a lot of the younger guys coming through, but like if they're handcuffed by constant things that bother, like when I'm watching a product, I have to now like it's like a good example, right? So I watch Forest, who are my football team, who are in the Premier League, which means I have to contend with stuff like VAR. And objectively, VAR is frustrating for the fan. I have to contend with the Premier League being very touristy rather than being about just football now. Whereas when I followed Forest in the Championship, I didn't have to contend with VAR. I didn't have to worry about getting like tickets to games and stuff because like I didn't have to worry about Forest being a tourist location because it's in the Premier League. So it's almost like from a purist perspective, I preferred when we weren't in the Premier League in a weird kind of way. We're more successful now, but then it's like the just the pure like things of football like have gone for me. So it's like you almost kind of have to look at the product and go, right, what am I willing to trade off? Like with Forest, am I willing to trade the fact that I hate VAR and the Premier League is just a corporate machine that's broken? Yeah, because I've had a season ticket for 20 years. It's my football team and whatever. With WWE, am I okay to trade off that there's beef jerky adverts on the ring, there's constant ad breaks during pay-per-views, like constant 3-4 minute nothingness on your screen for 4 minutes, celebrity appearances, bad booking, not giving matches more than 5 or 6 minutes on a mania card. Can I sort of just forget about all that stuff to still enjoy the product? I don't know. And that's where I'm at. I don't know. Whereas AEW, what do I have to contend with? It's a bit harder to watch. Oh, that problem might be fixed now. So, okay, the inconsistent TV storytelling and writing, but that's not a lot compared to what I have to contend with on WWE's side. So if I'm comparing the product from a non-nostalgic and non-already invested point of view, it's difficult, isn't it? It's very difficult to where I stand now.
Yeah, I think maybe this time next year, in terms of just privately within TGP with all the members, I think we might be discussing and like predicting AEW just as much as WWE. I reckon it genuinely could happen.
I think we should be. I mean, there already are people in TGP that pretty much only watch AEW now. So
Yeah.
when we start just basically talking about it on the podcast, well, no, so I don't think we'll ever get to a point where we just talk about AEW, right? I think we'll always talk about WWE.
No.
But it does feel like we're at a point now where we're definitely going to talk about both, and I might enjoy talking about both more than just talking about WWE because WWE just frustrates me. And I watched AEW the other day and just had a nice, pleasurable time watching it. I didn't think about like all of the annoyances that I have with WWE. I just watched a wrestling show and enjoyed the wrestling that was on offer.
And get this,
And,
it might even let us not doom talk every podcast episode.
yeah,
Because we can just
imagine
focus
that.
on, like, surely one of them will be good each month. We can just focus on the good one, which unfortunately has been AEW for the past like 5 months.
I can tell you that Revolution was great, and I haven't watched everything yet. I'm still getting into sort of watching everything. But I've got what was the most recent paper? Dynasty. I've not watched yet, so I need to watch that. I'm catching up on. I'm watching every Dynamite and Collision after Revolution, and then I'm going to watch Dynasty, and then I'm going to watch the recent ones, and then I'll be up to date. It's currently what I'm working on, so I'm working on it to get up to it. I'm really. I don't even know what this is the thing about Revolution as well. Just before we go, I didn't even know what the card was. I didn't even look. Every match just came up, and I didn't know what the card was, and every match was great. Like
because those promos are so important. Like beforehand, they actually give each match like a reason to exist.
Yeah, I didn't have to know why these two were feuding. I didn't have to know that because I got told why they were feuding. I could easily just dip my toe in. The fact that I could watch a wrestling product and not have to know anything other than the fact of generically who these people are, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Made things so easy for me.
Yeah.
Have we just had an actual good, like, discussion about actual wrestling on the podcast?
Nah, dog shit
Nah,
slime.
yeah. Sorry, I got really ahead of myself there.
Thanks for the fake sponsors. Go buy them. I don't know how you're gonna buy non-branded white panel van, but I don't know why you'd want to buy a non-branded.
Yeah, I mean, you're not encouraging the listeners to buy white panel vans, are you, Carl? That's
well, they're
a little
good
bit
for trade
sus.
work.
They are good for trade work, actually. Yeah, don't leave your tools in them overnight though. Put one of those stickers on the back that says "I don't leave my tools in here overnight." Actually, at that point, if you've got the
maybe
sticker,
leave
you
one or
can leave
two,
them in.
just because why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, get good insurance on them, and then you might actually make some money. Is that insurance fraud? It might be insurance fraud. Actually, don't do that. That probably is insurance fraud. But no, because they're insured for a certain amount of money, so they just pay out that amount of money. Anyway, we're going off topic. Thank you to Trip. You have very tasty drinks. One of these days, code TGP for 5% off. That's all I want. That's my dream. But other people have dreams for their shows. That's my dream. That's my dream, Carl.
Very unrealistic, but I'm glad that you've got a dream.
It's incredibly unrealistic, but that is the dream. Trip, if you're watching this, I know some corporate bigwig at Trip is typing up the cease and desist letter already, right? But before you type the cease and desist,
They've made
right,
it 48 minutes in.
just consider a 5% discount code because I will bat for you. I will tell everybody. I will walk past someone on the street and tell them about Trip. I will sit next to someone on the bus on the way to work and tell them about Trip. I'm not selling this. I'm making it worse. They're probably thinking, "Look at this weirdo."
Yeah.
I'm not helping myself, am I?
No. Look, we've had a discussion, and I'm sure we'll talk more about AEW soon, about the actual product itself. I'll even maybe watch something, and we can
Getting Carl to watch
discuss what's
wrestling is
going on.
very difficult. So the fact that he's willing, this should tell everyone everything you need to know. Getting Carl to watch wrestling is so hard. The fact that he's willing to watch wrestling should tell you that AEW is a good product. That in itself is enough to say that this is a good product.
Yeah.
Any final words? Any final thoughts? Wrap it up. So I give people advice, don't I? So I think we can theme this advice based on the sponsors. Always get a sticker on the back of your van that says you don't leave tools in there. Always. And always, on the basis of Trip, keep hydrated. The number one cause of headaches and illness and nausea and stuff like that is lack of liquid in your body, fluids. Get yourself some good magnesium from Trip. Get yourself some good fluid in your body, and you'll be healthy. You'll have great skin. You'll have more energy. And Kyle, that's the best message I've ever given. So goodbye to you all, and drink Trip.